Hi, everyone. How are you today? And hi, Brian. Welcome to Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail. That would be me and friends. And my friend tonight is Brian Hayward. Brian is a CBD consultant, and he has been working with us for just a little over 2 years. And he has a lot of fun stuff to talk to us about today, all about CBD, how he got started, and what it can do for us, those of us with who have lipedema. So, hi, Brian. How are you tonight?
Good, Gail. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Um, as you come in, I'm going to talk to the audience a little bit. Audience members, as you come in, please put down where you're from, give us your name, throw us some chat. We love to see comments. And if you have questions, ask them. And we might not be able to answer all of them, but we're going to answer as many as we can. So I first met Brian, like I said, just a little over 2 years ago. And his story was very compelling. I took a good listen to it, but of course, I'm is that snake oil type person. So I got a little skeptical. However, I wasn't so skeptical that I wouldn't keep bringing Brian on, right? I wanted to listen. I wanted to hear more about CBD. So as I was running some of the fireside chats and the meetings that we were having in it was 2022, I believe. As we were running those meetings, I listened and I learned a lot. And so, but Brian's story about how he found CBD was pretty compelling. Brian, tell us about what your background is
Mhm.
and how you got started using CBD.
Sure. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see you all here, and thanks for being there. The What happened for me was that, well, my background is I'm a retired chemical engineer, so I like technical things. And when even in my younger years, teenage, even I had problems with arthritis kind of things or bones that simply didn't seem to fit together right. And I've had pretty serious, I think you can see that. Yeah, that's kind of ugly. But, anyways, I've got pretty serious osteoarthritis in my hands and in a number of other joints in my body, like knees, shoulders, wrists, things like that. So, anyways, so I went, my primary care physician is at Mass General in Boston, and I went there to those people to get a specialist on osteoarthritis to see what I could do about it. And at the time, I was taking 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen and alternating that with 1,200 milligrams of Tylenol pretty much multiple times a day to try to reduce the pain. And when the arthritis doctor heard that, he said, "You can't keep doing that. You're going to destroy your stomach and ruin your liver. And so you can't take those kind of medications on a long-term basis." So so I just said, "Well, then what do I do about the pain?" And he said, "Well, there isn't really anything you can do except narcotics." And there was no way I was going to do that. So I was kind of left for years just accepting the idea that I really couldn't use my hands. And so I just had a lot of pain and swelling throughout my body. But anyway, so what happened is my daughter knew a nurse who did work with CBD products with her clients, and she had a good supplier and quality product and suggested that I try it. So I did that. And the first thing I did is I put salve. They had a salve that was uh, had CBD in it, and I put that on. In like 15 minutes, most of the pain was gone, and I was flabbergasted by that. I really
Yeah.
didn't expect that at all because nothing else seemed to help. And I started taking a tincture after that also, and I would take the tincture in the morning and at night, and I put the salve on whenever things hurt, and a lot of my pain pretty much went away. And when it comes flashes back sometimes, and so I'll have a few days where I've got pain. I just keep the same routine up, and it pretty much takes care of it. So that's how I got involved in it. And so when I tried to understand, because I knew it worked and I wanted to know why, because I'd heard so much crazy stuff about CBD. And so I started to look on the internet because I'm pretty comfortable with that, and trying to get the truth from people or real facts from anybody about CBD is almost impossible if you search for it on the internet. Pretty much all I got was marketing hype, and I would call these companies and the people and representatives and things and ask them about how it worked. Most of them told me how it worked, and most of them had no idea how it worked. They used terms that I'm familiar with because of my technical background. They were using them improperly, incorrectly, couldn't be true kind of things. And so I started trying to understand where I could get good information from. And over time, I found that the NIH, National Institute of Health, Mayo Clinic, CBD.org, these Project CBD, these were organizations that had medical people running studies on CBD for many, many years in the past. But, the people who were selling it didn't particularly care to learn about it. So anyways, I've learned about it. And what I like to do is, people don't need to buy CBD from me. I sell it. But the thing is that if people could understand what some of the basic things about CBD are and how to tell whether it's a quality product or not, whether it'll work for you, how much should you pay, how much should you take, all those kinds of things. It's almost impossible to find that on labels and on the internet. So that's how I've ended up this way.
So, because you're a retired chemical engineer, because that's your background is chemical engineering, you were able to go through and say, "Oh, I don't believe what you're saying because that doesn't make sense in the in your chemical engineer brain, right?" And but you tried it and it worked.
Mm.
So, how did you get started with Lipedema Simplified?
Catherine and I were in an entrepreneurs group, and we got talking, and I heard about people with lipedema, and she heard about what I was doing. And one of the things that I learned is that a lot of the cause of pain for people is inflammation with arthritis. Inflammation, the brain gets a signal something's wrong, so it sends help, and that help causes swelling and inflammation, and it's the natural way the body heals. But when it gets out of control, it causes more damage. And so what's happened with arthritis is that you get these reactions because it's constantly sending signals to the brain, and the brain is constantly sending help that it isn't really going to work, and all it does is cause a lot of pain from inflammation. And Catherine was talking about lipedema as a significant problem with lipedema is inflammation. And when I heard that, I said, well, I don't know whether I said it to her or she said it to me, because we were both talking about inflammation, that it seemed like it might work. And Catherine actually had experience with CBD in the past and was able to get help with it. So it had worked also for her, but there was no way to tell what was good product and what wasn't. So
Right.
that's
right. And before we get going on showing some of the slides that you brought with you today, we had a question and you just answered it. It's from our Facebook user, and it says, does CBD also reduce inflammation? And it seems to. Can you share with us a few of the reactions that you've gotten from some people in our community on their stories, and how
in this little slideshow thing that I have. If I get 5 or 6 slides, do you want me to just kind of go into those?
Do you want to start with the slides before you?
Yeah, because I have a list of some of the things that the ladies have said.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that up right now.
Okay, great. The slide. There we go. The first slide. People often ask and are concerned reasonably, can CBD get me high? And it can't if you know what's in it. But the basic thing is the cannabis plant is the parent plant of both marijuana, which is like 25 to 40% THC, and and the THC is what's psychoactive. That's what's gotten young people and adults too high for many, many years. Over time, people felt like they wanted to test the cannabis plant where there's no or trace amounts of THC in it to see what that would do. So the concept of the hemp plant was developed to produce a CBD product that has less than 0.3% THC in it, so it's non-psychoactive. And the federal government has legislated that in the Farm Act of 2018, and they made it legal in all 50 states and around the world is pretty much that way too. CBD is no longer considered to be an illegal or a psychoactive kind of drug, where THC marijuana is still pretty highly regulated worldwide and in the United States. So CBD is non-psychoactive and it won't get you high. So that's one thing. The next slide is this is a slide that I encourage people to either do a screenshot of this if you know how to do it, if you're on a computer, or if you don't know how to do it or can't do it, just take your phone out and take a picture of this slide on your screen, because this is one of the key pieces of information that I have used to help people determine what's a quality CBD product. And you will not get this anywhere else other than on the technical side of the world here. So the key there's 4 things you can check on the label of any product that you're thinking about buying. You can check 4 things. And if you check those 4 things and it's right, then you probably got a good product and a safe product. So the first thing you want to have is it should say full spectrum CBD. And I'm just wondering whether this screen that I am looking at is pretty small. Are people seeing a full size kind of screen, or can you
Right.
check?
So
Yeah.
they're gonna. It depends on what they're watching on. If they're watching on their phones, they'll be able to scroll in.
Okay.
And if they're watching on their computers, they can make it full screen. So yeah, we're in a small screen space. You're
Okay.
right.
Okay.
But they should be able to find the full screen.
It just occurred to me that it would be hard for me to read this, but anyways, if first thing you want to look for is the words full spectrum CBD in that order all together on the label somewhere. It needs to say that, because that is committing the supplier to actually have full spectrum CBD in there. And full spectrum just simply means that the flower of the hemp plant contains all of the really good quality compounds that are in the CBD product, full spectrum CBD. A lot of people have manufactured and just been able to isolate the CBD molecule, and you can buy that in large quantities and it's not very expensive. But the problem with product that is not full spectrum, it generally doesn't work very well. Full spectrum CBD has hundreds of compounds in it, not just CBD. And those compounds work together with CBD to produce these results. So there's probably 30, 40 compounds in full spectrum CBD that affect and reduce inflammation. So you're getting a whole bunch of products synergistically working together. And that's why when I put it on my hands, it worked. It's because of all of the different compounds. It's not CBD by itself. CBD by itself doesn't really do much of anything. So the second thing you want to look for is it should say organic on the label. And generally, the 2 ways to see if something's organic in the United States is if it's USDA certified or state regulated, because each of the states are under the USDA, and the USDA certifies the states to produce organic compounds. So state regulated in the United States is very, very good. USDA certified is good. In other countries, you've just got to be sure that you know that you have certified that it's organic product. And that just means no pesticides and all these different things. So the other thing that I think is really important is the single source concept. All of the products that I deal with are specifically from a particular farm. So I don't go out and buy CBD on the open market. I don't think that's a good way to provide a quality product, because open market means anywhere in the world, lowest possible price, and with little to no controls over the production of the product. So it could say organic on the label, referring to some of the ingredients in there. But if you don't know what farm it's from, I don't think you've got any assurance of knowing whether the product is quality. And these farms all over the country, there are good, serious farmers coming from farm families who have gotten involved in the CBD farming world, and they're proud of what they do. They make a quality product, and they are happy to talk about it. You can call a farm, the farms that I use, you can just look them up and call the farmers and talk to them and ask them what their process is like. And that's what I did. I do basically right now, I deal with 2 different farms, one in Massachusetts, one in Vermont. And I've been to the farms. I know the farmers. You know, I talk with them regularly on the phone, and I know exactly what they're doing. I've been there with them. So that makes me confident that I know what I'm getting. So I would encourage you to make sure that any CBD product you buy has the specific farm. If it doesn't have that, it just means they're buying open market, and you could have one product one week and another product the next. And then every one of these labels should have a website address where you can get independent lab test results, and that would help us know about the quality of the product. If you read the label and you can confirm these 4 things, then you probably got a good product, and you could buy it. The other key thing, though, is, well, one thing is down in the bottom of that, you want to know how many milligrams of CBD are in the container. Pretty much every product has that. But you want to know how many milligrams of full spectrum CBD, 3 words in that order, are in this container. And the next thing most people put on their label is how many milligrams of CBD per dose is recommended. And industry-wide, it's 15 to 30 milligrams per dose is normal. And I wouldn't veer off from that much, especially if you're starting out. The next thing that I think that is impossible to find out on the internet is, at least by the normal ways, is how much should you pay for CBD? And I've done some work on this, and the industry is set up such that people charge 5 to 10 cents per milligram of CBD. That's how the price is determined, is the price per milligram of CBD. And so it should be between 5 and 10 cents. So if it's 1,000 milligrams, 5 to 10 cents is $50 to $100. 500 milligrams, $25 to $50. 300 milligrams, $15 to $30. So if you take a picture of this slide, you'll be able to look at a label and determine, number 1, if it's a quality product, and number 2, how much should you pay for it. And you shouldn't pay much less than these numbers, and you shouldn't pay much more than these numbers. Much less, in reality, you're not getting the quality. You're not going to get what you think you're getting if you're paying less than 5 cents, or significantly less than 5 cents than per milligram of CBD. And if you're paying more than 10 cents, like if you've got a 1,000 milligram container and it's $180, you're paying way too much for it. I wouldn't do it. So those are the basic things that I think are like really important. So next slide. These are just a few things. First of all, 70% of the CBD that's sold in the US comes from foreign countries. That's from an article by Lisa Fletcher. She's a very well-known ABC TV investigative reporter. And then the next quote is, overseas, they use hemp to do cover crops. They use it to purposely suck out pesticides and heavy metals from soil, because hemp does that really well. So that's what people use it for in a lot of countries. So they can plant food crops the next season. And so that's from Jason Cranford, Flowering Hope Foundation in Colorado. And then the next one is this company, Ellipse Analytics. Sean Callahan's the president. They're in Denver, and he's really well known in the industry. People trust him and his analysis work. He did a study on 240 top selling CBD products. They tested them for contaminants, and they found that 70% of the products were found to be highly contaminated with heavy metals like lead and arsenic, herbicides like glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup that everyone knows is cancer causing, and a host of other contaminants, including pesticides, BPA, and toxic mold. You really don't want to buy a product that you don't know where it's coming from. And the big corporations have a lot of fancy wording and fancy presentations and the rest of that, but you just need to be sure that if I know those 4 questions on the label, I'm confident that it's a quality product and I don't have to worry about this. But if go ahead.
I was going to say, and thank you, Brian, because, we don't so often, we read ingredients. We're trained, look at the label and see what it says, but then we don't know what to do. Right. And so by having this information, and we understand, and the lipedema community, we have been dealing with so many things for so long. We do want the science behind things.
Right.
We do want answers.
Mm-hmm.
We do want to make sure we're getting good products, because we've been for so long, we haven't had information, right? And we're really hungry for it. And so I really appreciate that you are able to say, hey, look, here are some things you can do. So now we have, it's like having our, we're ready. We got our homework done, and we're going to go find out about it. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Go ahead. Next slide.
Okie doke.
All right. How much CBD should I take? That's a question. Everybody has that, because you really don't know. So with the tinctures and capsules that we have, and that tinctures it comes in a dropper and it goes under your tongue, and there's usually a dropper that has measurements on it. And so that, like with the main product that I have as a tincture, if it goes up to 0.5 milliliters on the dropper, you have 30 milligrams of CBD. So most quality manufacturers have a similar kind of measurement method. And so what I encourage my clients to do is that for the first 2 weeks, take a dose of one capsule or 30 milligrams of CBD once in the morning and once at night. That's twice a day. And then after a couple of weeks, you evaluate how well it's working for you. If it's working, that's great. But CBD, full spectrum CBD, sometimes will work at half the dose that you start at. So I encourage people, to save money, try the second 2 weeks and just do once a day. Try it and see, because then it may very well work just as well, because you can double the amount of CBD and not change your level of inflammation and pain. So that's what you want to know, is how much CBD do I need to take, me personally, for what the conditions that I have, how much do I need to take? And then you can decide whether you want to do it once a day or twice a day. A lot of people take it at night because it helps with restless leg syndrome. It helps with pain. It helps relax you so you get to sleep. And then in the morning, a lot of people take it again in the morning because when they get up, they're a little bit stiff. There's a little bit of pain, and they want to take it then to get through the day. So that's what most people do. But Some people just take it once a day and it works fine. And then the other major kind of product, you would either take tincture or capsules. You don't take both. Most people don't. You wouldn't want to take both, one or the other. And then that's internal treatment. And then the topical salves and lotions, you put them right on where, like with me, I put it on my hands. Wherever I have pain, I put the salve on, a lotion on, and you can do that 3 or 4 times a day. It may only last 3, 4, 5 hours, but a lot of the ladies say it lasts 10 or 12 hours. So it depends on your body and what lipedema is doing to you on a daily basis. And so the potency of salves is it's like, how many milligrams of CBD per ounce of salve do you have? And like our 2-ounce salve has 1,000 milligrams in it, which is 500 milligrams per ounce. So you just you should have 100 to 500 milligrams of CBD per ounce of salve. That's the normal range. And so the product that the one salve kind of product that I have, they call it a liniment, is 2 ounces and it's 1,000 milligrams. So next slide. Okay, these are the products that we're talking about. And if you go to my Natural Wellness Boston.com website, you can take a picture of this too if you want. That's the URL, but Gail will put it up also in other places around here so you can get it. But there's only 5 products that I sell. I don't sell 100 products. I just sell 5, and 3 from one farm and 2 from the other. So from Bordertown in Brattleboro, Vermont, this liniment salve is probably our most popular product that we have. A similar product is a lotion which smells, more. My wife likes the smell of the lotion, and she thinks that the CBD smells too earthy, and so she kind of would rather have this. But Gail absolutely loves the smell of the CBD liniment. So one or the other of those products I recommend that you buy. And then this is capsules from my Massachusetts farm. They're in Western Mass, and they have capsules that are 25 milligrams of CBD per dose. And we charge $90 for that. And if you get any of these things if you end up liking the product and you put it on a subscription, you get it for 15% off. So anybody on subscription, you can knock 15% off of these prices. And so the only tincture that I have is the Bordertown tincture, and it's 1,800 milligrams, which is really potent. And it's $95 for that. And then the gel caps, which are gelatin capsules that you can just pop in your mouth like you would any other, tablet or pill or capsule. And that's $109 because the process by which they use to encapsulate the gel caps is somewhat expensive, but people love that product. It's just a matter of you can get close to the same thing for $90, and this is $109. So it's just your preference on how you want to do it. So those are the different products. And one other thing that I just introduced a few weeks ago is a limited income pricing. A lot of the lipedema ladies that I have talked to are on a limited income, a fixed income, whatever you want to call it, and that like to take the amount of CBD that they would like to take to reduce their pain, they feel like it's really hurting their budget. And so what I've done is if you just send me a note saying, I want to participate in the limited income discount program, I will set you up with it. You don't have to show any of your finances. I don't care. If you feel like you're on a tight budget and your income is limited and you're going to end up taking less CBD than you should, then you get a 30% discount instead of 15. And there's a number of the ladies that are already taking advantage of that. It's I just don't see the sense in having people out there not taking CBD or not taking enough of it because they can't afford it. So this is a way that people can get it if they need it And I think that's it for that slide. No, that's not. That's an old slide, so you can skip that. All right, there we go. This is me, Brian Hayward, CHE, Coach Lipedema Simplified. And you can get me by email at brian@lipedemasimplified.org. You can call me. You can text me. I will answer the phone. If I can't answer it, I'll call you back. Or you can text me and we can make arrangements for when's a good time for both of us to talk. And just go to the website, naturalwellnessboston.com, and you can see the products. And I see a number of people on the line that I know. I don't know if anybody wants to throw in a comment about their use of the product. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Brian, there were some questions and you answered some of them as you were speaking, but I really do. I'm going to put your telephone number up, and because you do something, you touch my heart every single time I talk to you. And one of the things you always say is you want to make sure number one, you want to educate the lipedema community because you know that we're dealing with things and we're having a hard time. And someone asked us, let me make sure I get it. Okay, so someone asked can you get a prescription? Okay, from a doctor for CBD for inflammation, and you might be able to, depending on what's available. I know in Canada that they might be able to get something like that because they might have to get it through a pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about CBD from a pharmacy, we really don't know what's in a pharmaceutical CBD product, right?
What we do is like Canada has those CBD products that are pharmaceuticals, and when I've checked with different places in Canada, the CBD is full spectrum and they're very highly regulated. So generally in Canada, you can get a quality product. The thing that happens a lot that I find is that the Canadian companies that are selling these prescribed products are selling marijuana mostly. That's the demand. The big demand is for marijuana.
Right.
And so you have to know something to get what's considered full spectrum CBD without any significant THC in it.
Okay. Right. Because I know that when we went up to Canada, we went up to Vancouver this summer, and they asked us on our way in if we had any cannabis products whatsoever. So we couldn't bring any cannabis products into Canada. However, on our way from Canada to the United States, they didn't ask us if we're bringing any cannabis products to get into the United States. When we were in Canada, there's a cannabis store on every corner in Vancouver. I mean, it was very accessible, right? So I didn't worry too much about it. But I was walking into a cannabis outlet, and of course, it's a marijuana store to me, and I'm trying so hard. I'm looking at the back of all the labels, right, to see if if it has all the things that you wanted me to check on the back of the label, and I couldn't. I mean, I was too anxious. I felt anxious walking into one of those stores because here I am trying to see the ingredients, trying to see the label, trying to find out what was in it. And I got really anxious because it's overwhelming. There's so many products. It became overwhelming. And I could have sat there and taken a picture and sent it to you and said, Brian, help me out here. Or I could just use my brain. And what I ended up doing is walking out, which is really kind of, it's okay that I did that. my kid didn't walk. My daughter didn't walk out. She made a purchase, but I wasn't there. I wasn't there for the marijuana. I was there for the CBD, and so I had a difficult time making that selection. I'm very spoiled. I'm very spoiled. All I have to do, seriously, this is how it works. And I want everybody who's listening to realize how this works. If you place an order with Brian and you get on his subscription program, before your next time he sends you your order, like let's say I get it once a month. I get one of these once a month, okay? This has 60 capsules in it. That means I can take one a day and my husband can take one a day for a month, which is a pretty cool deal. But now let's say he sends me, I get an email that says your order's going to ship in 5 days. And I think I haven't been taking it as regularly. I don't need another order. I just send him an email back, skipping this order, and I don't get an order.
Right.
Or I send him an order going, send me 2 instead. And he sends me 2 instead. So easy, so spoiled, rotten I am. I'm
no
so
one will
spoiled.
ever pay for anything from me that they don't want.
Right. And in fact, I do have to tell, I have to say thank you, Brian. I have a friend who doesn't have a computer, but I rubbed some of this in her feet last spring, and I gave her the, because mine is here. I'll show you. I use it. I'm at the bottom of mine. See, I've got a lot of these things hanging around. So I gave her the leftovers. And she loved it so much that she had me order her 2. So I ordered her 2, and Brian just shipped it right to her house. I was able to pay for it with my stuff, so he shipped it to her house instead of to mine. So easy to work with. And so she gives me money, I pay Brian. That's how much she wants this stuff. It's so easy to order from Brian. He'll work with you 100%, and he's phenomenal. Okay, I got it. Let's see. There's another one. And this one might be something that some of our audience members might be able to help with too. How does CBD help lipedema specifically? Is it just for pain control? Do you have lipedema? I do, yes. Or are you using it just for osteoarthritis? I use it for both. I use it specifically topically on my knuckle here. I get achy sometimes, and on my feet. I have arthritis in my feet, and I have arthritis in the back of this hand. But I use the capsules for my lipedema. I use it for my restless legs. I started off as a skeptic. I used it for itching because I thought, oh, it has an itching. There's something in it that makes the itching go away. Let me try it. And it just calmed my legs down so much. Some women find that they can wear their compression longer if they use the salve on their legs before they put their compression on, or if they're taking the CBD, the compression, they can wear their compression longer. Brian, what other kinds of things have you heard from the ladies?
Say that again.
What other things? Do you have some testimonials from your website?
Yes, I've got some of those right here. So I'll read. I've got 3 of them here. So I'll read those. This is kind of self-aggrandizing, so it's embarrassing for me to read some of this stuff. But anyway.
No, Brian, you're helping a lot of our community members.
Okay, so one of my lady friends in lipedema said that I had very limited mobility before I started using the capsules and the salve. Now most of my pain is gone, and I can hold my grandchildren in my lap without pain. Being able to play with my grandchildren is so important to me. A lot of people have surface pain in their legs and arms and whatever because of lipedema. If you use the salve and you take the gel caps of the tincture orally, that will reduce that kind of pain. So it's not just for an arthritis thing. That pain is generally from inflammation, from what I've learned. And so an awful lot of people to reduce the pain from lipedema. Another lady had told me that that she feels like the nodules that were used to be really hard in her legs were now softer and seemed like they were kind of healing some. So, I don't know how much of that is going to happen for everybody, but some people, they do find that. And then another lady said, I truly believe in the CBD gel caps and salve. For myself, it takes away the burning feeling out of my tissues caused by lipedema, as well as allowing my pain levels to be more bearable. And then another lady said, and I've heard this multiple times, I was housebound due to several falls and severe lipedema pain. I just wanted it to be over. I tried CBD from Brian, and it saved my life. I can now walk on my own with little pain and am mobile enough to drive my car and do errands. There are quite a number of the lipedema ladies that have been in that situation that have tried this out and are now walking around the neighborhood. It's not totally without pain, but they can now do this stuff and like to do it. And they're able to drive a car when they weren't able to drive a car for a long time. Going in and out of the house, climbing upstairs and going downstairs, people are able to do that now when they couldn't do it before. So it is exciting that CBD actually does do this for
Right.
lipid ladies.
And I do want to say that we hear from a lot of our community members on just the difference. It's almost like now it's like I didn't realize how much pain I was in until I got rid of some of my pain. I'm one of those. I didn't know. So I want to reach out to the community right now. Karen's here from Michigan. Hi, Karen, and Lisa's from Oregon. Hi, Oregon. We have a couple from New York. We have Tijuana Soray from upstate New York, and we have a girl called Patriot Girl. She's from South Dakota. She's a first timer. So glad you're here. Lisa's from Iowa. Netchin, she's here. Netchin 62. She's here from Washington, and it's her first time here. Clara Lorena is here from New York. And let's see who. Julie Stewart is here from North Carolina. She's one of our regular viewers and a member of our community that we know. And I know that for so many of us, having you here, Brian, and working with us, having you coming to so many of our events, because this is not the only event that you come to. You come to a lot of our events, our free webinars. You just had one last week. Jill or Gil, I'm not sure. I have a friend who spells her name Gill. Her name's Jill. So if your name's Gil, hi Gil. If your name's Jill, hi Jill. From the UK. So it's good to see you. And but we have some events coming up, and you're actually going to be in with all of us during these events. You had a webinar last week. This next week, we're going to have a webinar. Let me get that banner up real quick. Actually, no, I shouldn't say it's this next week. It's tomorrow. That's how fast next week has snuck up on me. It's tomorrow. Sorry, guys. But anyway, so we have a webinar tomorrow, and it's called Nutrition for Lipedema. It's beyond the one size fits all approach. And you know how everybody tells us just exercise, just quit eating so much, lose some weight, and you'll be fine. Yeah, and we all know that story. We've been living with that story. Many of us have been living that story for 5-6 decades, right? I mean, I've been living that story for 5 decades. at least. Because I started I started dieting when I was 11, and I'm 63. And we hear that all the time. So Carrie Reedy is going to, it's her free webinar. It's tomorrow, March 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern. I put the link in the chat, so you'll see where to register when you go to the chat. And it'll talk about nutrition, and let's see what this, because I want to come back to you, Brian. I got to find out what else I put in that we want to talk about. But all of these webinars are leading up to a big event in April, on April 12th, 13th, and 14th. We are going to be holding our what we call our heart-to-heart event. And it's a big conference. It's a 3-day conference. And I'm putting that in our chat as well. I'm also going to put it in the banners. I know I'm very visual, and so I like to see it as well as hear it. So you're able to register now, April 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's Heart to Heart, Keto and Beyond. And the reason we call it and Beyond is just for the reason that we called Carrie's event Beyond the One Size Fits All, right? I mean, there's so many things to learn about nutrition. Yes, we're going to be presenting keto, but we're also going to be presenting beyond that. What else can we be doing besides just keto? A very gentle, kind keto. So that's going to be our April 12th, 13th, and 14th Heart to Heart. Let me see what else I've got going on. Oh, something really exciting. So we've got this week, we have Carrie Reedy tomorrow. And then on Friday, we have our lovely Siobhan. She is going to be presenting a study, the results from a study. And she's going to be presenting that on Friday at the Collaborative Science. They call it COSI. And if you want to check some of that stuff out, you can check that out too. I'm putting that in the comments. Okay, let's get back to Brian. Now that I've told you guys all the stuff that we're doing, let's go back to Brian. I am going to come to this comment. Going to come to this comment, Brian.
Carrie Reedy, I've heard her webinars and seminars, and she is amazing. And she's just so sensitive to the fact that people have tried over and over again to lose weight and been told it's their fault. And, that you don't have to worry about that with Carrie. And she's just so open to trying what would work for you rather than saying you've got to do keto this way or you got to do this. Because, a lot of the world of keto is kind of, people think that it's one thing, and it's really not when you got people like Carrie.
Well, yeah. Thank you, Brian, for sharing that, because one of the things that we have discovered is the keto kind of gets this heavy rap, right? I mean, like people think it's all this, you've got to have this much fat, and you've got to have much protein, you have to have this many carbs, and you've got to keep track of it, and don't you dare go off it because the keto police will come and smack you in the head. Well, no. One of the things that we've discovered is that is quote unquote internet keto, right? And so what we try to show is that there are ways of eating that fit your lifestyle that will help you reduce your inflammation, help you feel better, help you not be in as much pain. And Carrie is a nutritionist, and she brings all of that to us with her huge heart. And so tomorrow's webinar is going to be is going to be spectacular. So I hope everybody gets a chance. If you cannot make it, register for it anyway, and you'll get the free replay on that.
Yeah.
So Brian, I want to come back. I always want to come back to you because you have made such a tremendous difference for our community. Our community is made up of women, right? I mean, majority of women. And so you hear a lot of stories.
Yeah.
A lot of stories from women who have been feeling pretty hopeless. You know, they just feel that there's no hope. And every time I hear from you, you share a new story about a woman or a lipedema patient who has found hope again. And so I always appreciate that from you, that you give our community hope. And so I thank you very much. My Facebook user says, we have a Facebook user talking to us about the Heart to Heart conference. I registered for the Heart to Heart conference in April, haven't gotten any email confirmations back on it. Signed up on Jan 5th after watching a webinar. Saw that once you're registered that there is a private Facebook group to join. So I'm going to throw something up here right now. I'm sorry I got waylaid, Brian. But if you have questions about that, please send a message to this email, support@lipedema-simplified.org. Any questions that you have, reach out. Isla will answer within 24 hours. So please, anytime you have questions. So if you need to get a hold of me, can't remember my email, send it to support@lipedema-simplified.org. Need to get a hold of Brian, forget his email, send it to that. This Isla is you'd think she doesn't sleep, but send it to support@lipedema-simplified.org, and they can answer all of the questions that you have for the heart to heart and all those things. So, okay, so back to you, Brian. I'm really bad. I'm bouncing all over the place tonight.
I'm fine and doing good.
But you bring us hope, and I always ask my guests if there was one message that you could have echoed around the world, what would it be?
Well, for me and from my experience with the lipedema ladies, I think that people have been traumatized by various things in their lives, but I cannot imagine what it was like for women growing up as teenagers or whatever until whatever age they're at now, and having been told by doctors that it's their fault, that I don't believe you. You can't possibly be eating that little. You're lying to me. And I don't know how people actually survive in a healthy way in those kinds of things. Those are very bad things to say to anybody. So my firm belief is that it's not your fault. This is a disease that you have that's not your fault. And the fact that you can't really lose weight very easily is not your fault.
Yeah. And thank you. For me, I remember dieting, exercising, making sure I got my steps in, tracking everything I possibly could. And every time I'd get on the scale would be going up. And I would lose a pound and I would rejoice. But it had been going up week after week after week. And then it was it kept going up. And like Anne-Marie just said, I had a female doctor rudely ask me if I have even considered losing weight. Right? It's like people treat us like we don't know that we've been struggling with our weight all these years, right?
Right.
Anne-Marie, that's and yeah, and I do want to answer this one as well. I have both lipedema and lymphedema. Do the treatments go hand in hand with each other? Yes, they do. They go hand in hand. They are two different items. Sometimes we have them as comorbidities. And yes, they go hand to hand. And you will find hope with Lipedema Simplified. Many of our community members have both lipedema and lymphedema. So one of the things that Brian, you always say, it's not your fault. It's like someone telling you that your arthritis is your fault. Well, Brian, if you would,
if you did something about,
yeah,
if you did the hand exercises, or if you
right,
ate properly, you wouldn't have this. So you can't possibly be.
yeah,
It's got to be your
right.
fault.
It's got to be your fault. And the only time I lost weight successfully is when I was going through depression and I couldn't swallow food. I mean,
It's not healthy.
right? How easy is that? I couldn't get myself to eat more than soft, like I'd have a half a yogurt. I couldn't, and I ended up on medication. I was a mess, and people were complimenting me about how good I was looking and how oh, Gail, you're looking great. And I was getting smaller on the top, but not on the bottom. But it was because I was in deep depression and I had quit eating. And so when I came through all of that, I thought, is that as twisted as they come? Everybody was complimenting me, and I was in sheer hell, just misery. I was in hell. And yet people were, oh, you look wonderful. And I'm thinking, yeah, it doesn't work that way. Let's see, she's a workers' comp physician, and I had brought her back our clinician card to read. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have a clinician's card. So speaking of that clinician's card, Anne-Marie, and we'll get off here because it's already been almost an hour, Brian. You got to go have dinner or go to bed or something because it's much later at your house than it is at mine. We have a gift for those of you who have tolerated us all this time. A gift for you at the end of this broadcast, Emmy's Box of Hope. Emmy is a sweet little flying pig. She's our mascot because people have told her all her life that she would never learn to fly, that she couldn't fly. But guess what? She does. She flies because nothing is impossible, right? So she's this cute little flying pig, and she brings us hope. And she brings us this box of hope. Inside this box, there are 3 categories. One is, if you look down here at the bottom of our screen on the right-hand side, we have the words learn, connect, and belong. And those 3 categories are inside that box, inside that website. Click on learn. When you click on learn, it'll tell you, it'll show you stuff that you want to know, right? Learn gives you knowledge. But there's also postcards in there that you can print out. And the postcards say things like, do your legs look like this? And it has pictures of the legs. And the same legs are on the postcard that says, do your patient's legs look like this? Right? So one is for clinicians and one is for patients. So print those out, use them, distribute them. To get into Emmy's Box of Hope, if you click on the link that's right there, and it'll say, give me my free resources right this very minute, or something like that, right? It actually says get free resources here. Go in there, put your email in, and you'll get right into Emmy's Box of Hope. I do need to tell you, Emmy's Box of Hope was developed and created by members of our community. Deb Jersick Blanche Pepitone, Judy Green, Julie Stewart, and Jerry Hamill. And they created a beautiful gift for our community. So it's from our community to our community. So please make sure you check out Emmy's Box of Hope. It's our gift to you, because without you, we wouldn't be here. Let's see. Julie Stewart, who is one of the creators, says, one of the postcards is to give to family and share the documentary quiz and to clinicians. So make sure that you get in there, dig around. There's a couple of rabbit holes you can get caught in. Don't worry about it. You can get out. Anyway, so with that said, Brian, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. I really appreciate your time, your stories, the work you do for our community, and you're a dear friend. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.